Well, hello YouTube subscribers and greetings America. I'm making this video today because after this last election, I realized one thing about myself. I care a lot about human rights, policy, and politics. A lot of my friends were very passionate about this and they wanted me to vote. And I really just couldn't align with too many people. I think I like Trump more than I like Kamala Harris. And the reason for that being is because I think he's more honest. He just seems a little bit more real. And want y'all's help today with something. So I'm interested in forming my own political party. And to tell you the truth, I have no idea how to do this. So if anyone does have any ideas about forming your own political party, learning how to run for office, or anything like that, definitely let me know. This is a live feed, so you're more than welcome to chime in. I'd like to talk about some of my ideas. I'd like to talk about my agenda, maybe some of the policies that I'd like to enact. So, with the way that America is right now, it's given me a lot of ideas on what I would like to do and things that I would like to see change in America. I think that we have become, now, I took a political alliance test one time. And, it's just a quick test. So, you guys can decipher, what you think about that and let me know in the comments section. But I scored as a libertarian. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I am for smaller government. I am for a little bit more as far as the people and community goes. I don't like a whole lot of government regulation and interference. And generally, I don't really trust the government. I don't, especially on the national scale. Now, I do think that politicians that have to see the people every day, your local people who run for office, I think that they are a little more sincere because they have a much higher accountability to the people that they have to see every day. I think everybody who has to face the people is probably going to be a little bit more accountable. So, Jack YT, I'm assuming YouTube, is asking me Brazil? No, I'm talking about the United States of America. So, I live in America. I guess I should have clarified that. I am an American and I am a very proud American. Now, that's not to say that I don't support other countries and believe in the beauty and the power of other nations. I just think that right now, right here in America, I think that we need to focus on what the people and the communities need versus funding so many international wars. So let me just go ahead and get started right there and say that if I did run for office and was able to start my own political party, I am for ending the war in Israel and I am for ending the war in Ukraine. I think that we need to leave Russia the hell alone, let them in Ukraine sort out whatever that they need to, and that's not to say that we don't care as American people, right? But they're giving billions to fund this war in Ukraine right now with a superpower that, even if they lost, still has the capability to do incredible damage to America. And, as I watch that, I just sit there and I ask myself, even if we win a war against Russia, for whatever reason, is it really worth it? I mean, is it really worth the possible nuclear fallout and millions of lives on both sides or all sides that it could cause? I don't think so. And I am pro-Palestine. Now let me say this, because you got to be so careful with what you say regarding policies and stuff like that. Um, I don't think that Israel needs to be fighting against Palestine. I don't. I think we need to stop fighting against Palestine. I don't really believe that they are fighting us the way that the media says that they're fighting us. I think that they're terrified, and I think that this is more about, for one, oil. And I think that this is about Israel feeling entitled by God and religion to claim a land that the Bible says is theirs. And that is something that I do not support at all. I think that it's a genocide, and I think we need to get the hell out of there. And this is coming from someone who is of Jewish descent. So my background is that I am half white and I am half Puerto Rican. And on my Puerto Rican side, we are of Jewish descent. Our lineage is, I think, now I could be wrong, but Jewish and Lebanese. So I think that we need to stay out of Israel. I think we need to stay out of Ukraine. And when it comes to other policies, I think that this is probably the most radical ideal that I have right here. I'm going to just say it. I think that we as a community need to get more involved in stopping a lot of the rioting that has been happening over the last few years. So we've had groups like Antifa, right? We've had groups like Black Lives Matter. And I support Black Lives Matter. I think that Black lives absolutely do matter. But a lot of the extreme liberals that have been getting involved in the protest have been violent. They have blocked traffic. They have tried to rip people out of their cars and just wreak havoc. And I think we as the community need to take a stand with our police force, with our local governments, to stop them. The government is, mainly the police force, terrified of having to deal with these extreme liberals, because anytime they try to defend our community, they're shut down, and there's rioting and there's protests saying to defund the police. I don't support that, by the way. I do not support defunding the police system. A lot of you liberals that support that, if you actually got your wish, and if the police actually got defunded, you guys would honestly probably be the first to go. Like, do you realize that? The criminals and the thugs, regardless of whatever color, race, culture, creed, I don't care. Do you think that they would not come into your neighborhoods instantly and obliterate you? The police protect you too. So I'm not fond of the disrespect towards the police system that I see here. Sorry, that's my cat. He's an attention whore. So I see some comments here. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the compliments. I try to look cool. Try to maintain my image a little bit, so I appreciate that. I could be a little bit shy about compliments. Some people in the past, they're like, "Oh yeah, he's so vain and stuff like that." You'd be surprised at how, I don't know. I guess you could say meek-minded I could be about certain things, but that's very nice. So, another thing I'll talk about, transgender rights. So there's been a lot of people that, I don't know how to say it. They could be pretty hard on them. I support same-sex marriage. I support staying the hell out of relationships that you have no business being in. If you are not causing any harm to someone, with your relationship and your sexual orientation, then I think that we need to mind our own damn business, honestly. If somebody wants to be transgender, if somebody wants to marry multiple partners, and if they want to be in same sex marriages, I think that that's their business. I don't think that we have to agree with them to simply respect them. And I think that goes on both sides too. I think that if you're straight and if you want to be heterosexual and and if you believe that that is the right way for you, and even if you believe it's the right way in general, I think that you have a right to be that. I think that we can all respect each other and live and let live in that realm. So that's another thing that I would enforce as a policy if I was able to create my own political party. I do not believe in showing prejudice in the realm of that. Now, I will say this too, because I do see some people coming out as transgender before the age of 18 and young and having, a lot of irreversible surgeries. I don't think that that's a good thing. I don't. I think that you need to wait to be an adult to address that. And I think that before you take that big step towards surgery or anything like that, that I think you should be an adult, because that's a very serious thing to think about. You're talking about a life-altering and biologically altering operation that will change who you are in a lot of fundamental ways. And that's a very serious step. All right. I'm just looking at the comments here. All right. So, yep. Hey, how you doing? As far as economically, like I said, I've been seeing Biden send billions over into Ukraine. And it drives me crazy to see that. I hate that. There are so many causes that can be supported financially right here on the home front. I mean, hell, look at Asheville. So I'm in North Carolina, originally from Florida. So if I did start a political party, it might be, here in my local state that I currently live in, which would be North Carolina. I don't know if I want to move back to Florida. It's too damn hot, crowded, and expensive. So I'm not sure about that one yet. But there are so many causes that could be supported here on the home front, like Asheville and the other destruction that all these hurricanes have done. I also want to talk about abortion here for a minute. So that's really a tricky subject. And I will say that as a man, I may not completely know what I'm talking about. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what that's like. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I have these rights to speak for how they feel or not. I don't know. I've never been a woman. I can't tell you what that's like. I personally do feel bad about late-term abortions, and I'm not even sure how much that is a thing, but I would feel bad about a late-term abortion because, at this point we're talking about a baby that's mostly developed. I feel like it has feelings. Early-term abortions, I feel like I'm in support for, because I'm not sure how conscious that embryo, baby, newborn, whatever you want to call it, not newborn, but being in development. I'm not sure how conscious it really is. So does it necessarily bother me? Not really. No. And I think that that's an important decision both ways, because on the one hand, you can nurse the developing child that is in you, and it could grow up to be a productive citizen. At the same time, You may be very poor and realize that you cannot raise a child without it doing significant financial damage to you. And I can understand why, a mother may not want to go through with that for the rest of her life. And that makes sense to me. Obviously, rape victims, if they want to have an abortion, I am for that. It's not their fault that they were impregnated by somebody who violated them. And I feel like the responsibility of bearing that child, I personally feel should not be theirs. So I don't mind being controversial because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I wouldn't be one of these politicians running for office who would be liquid like in my opinions and stance on things. I wouldn't do that. I said what I said. I'm willing to hear any logical debate or logic against it, but I'm not going to sit here and flip flop on my policies just because I think it will gain me popularity. I don't give a shit about that, to be honest. I don't. I don't care about that. I believe in a cause, and I believe that the cause would be for the best of what I believe in, and I would stand by that cause until there is very good logic dictating otherwise. But yeah, I feel like we need to make each other feel comfortable as far as sexual orientation goes. I guess you can say that fiscally, I am conservative. I think that we need to stay here on the home front. I think that spending, as far as just giving handouts to people, I think we need to be careful with that because a lot of times um, it's money wasted. It's money wasted. I think that we'd be better off trying to find people get jobs. Trying to find people jobs. Making them also put in some effort because a lot of people that want handouts are often, habitual drug users who take the money and they don't do anything productive. And I think that this is a terrible thing that is plaguing society. I think that it drives crime up. And this is where I support what I was going to say earlier, which might be my most radical ideal. And if I have not brought that up yet, let me go ahead and bring that up now. Militias. I think that we as the community it would probably do us some service to stay tight knit because the police are terrified and overwhelmed to do anything and go back to the good old days to a degree and have community militias that enforce a lot of the law. So I'm not anti-government. I guess you could say I am pro-government, but I am pro-government in the sense that it protects the community. We need to protect our communities. We need to protect our communities from extreme liberals. And you know what? If it comes down to it, extreme conservatives too. We don't need people rioting, destroying businesses, destroying communities, burning fucking cars, burning businesses, and yanking people out of their cars. Most of these people are young, emotional teenagers or college kids in their early 20s that will obliterate you for trying to protect your family and drive through a damn crowd. You also see a lot of people blocking off intersections, lighting stolen cars on fire. Where the hell are the police in situations like that? Why are they not stopping this? Why are they allowing this kind of domestic terrorism to prevail? Well, I'll tell you where I think some of them are. Restricted from being able to enforce the law and do things like this. And you know what? Part of that is extreme liberalism. And part of that is us as a community not standing up against it. Aren't you tired of letting our country become overrun by young radicals, young and immature radicals who are not being productive to society. If anything, they are destroying it. They are eating away at the fabric of American society and being allowed to walk into places that are extremely liberal, like Chicago and California, in broad daylight, and come in there and strip a place dry. That's horrible. That needs to be stopped. And I think that those youth need to be looking for jobs and some kind of other purpose in our community other than destroying and ransacking it. So maybe both sides could play a part there. Maybe there could be some kind of reform as far as getting those kids jobs, and there could be some reform as far as enforcing the law, that is illegal, that is dangerous, and it is putting hardworking American citizens out of business. I think that is a travesty. I think that is horrible. I think that is deplorable, and it makes me sick every time I see it. Every time I see a business being robbed on camera where they are coming in and just cleaning it out, they got their hoodies on, stacking boxes of goods and food and just cleaning a place out, I think that that's horrible. So maybe something could be done on both ends. Hey, Betty, and thanks a lot. Yeah, this is actually my first live video. So I wanted to see if I could get any support for me running for some kind of an office or forming some kind of political party of my own. And I'd like to do that. So I'm not sure how many people are familiar with politics that can tell me a step-by-step plan and process as to getting this done, but this is definitely something that I want to get done. And thank you, Colty Talk. Yeah, I haven't spoken in a while. I've just been watching the political atmosphere play out. I hope that Trump being back in office will make food, gas, and rent more reasonable. Maybe make it a little bit more easy to get a house. There's a lot of empty houses sitting on the market because they're impossible for the regular common folks like us to get into. And I think that even the Democrats this time were tired of seeing so much of the extreme liberalism. I think even they at this point are just watching it run away like a freight train and want it to end. Want it to end. Because even a lot of liberals, let's be fair to them for a second, even they don't want to see so much of this damn crazy bullshit happening in our streets. They don't want to see a lot of the riots, a lot of this extreme Antifa, a lot of the extreme leftists and extreme protesters of Black Lives Matter. They don't want to see that prevailing to the point where they're, destroying our public streets and smashing out windows to local businesses and basically burning down the damn town and yanking people out of their cars that, just want to drive through the damn crowd. They don't want to see us, people taken to the streets and flooding the streets to the point where cars can't even come through there. They don't want to see this. I think a lot of us Americans, we don't want to see that. So I'm for whatever eliminates that. So somebody else just commented. You're always welcome to come and speak on Fixing My Faith channel. Vern, okay. I'm sure Ruby Quinn would also love to have you on soon. Okay, yeah. We could talk about that. That sounds nice. You can hit me up at DIASISS Delgora Myacius on Facebook. I'm on there quite regularly, actually. I'm on social media a lot. I like social media. So yeah, you're more than welcome to hit me up on there, shoot me a message, and we could definitely talk about doing that. I'm trying to think of any other things that I had to say. I didn't write anything down. I just wanted to come on here and speak from the heart. I don't like sounding like some, political bullshit person who tries to tell you everything that they want to hear and win points for America and all that. No, I'm just going to speak straight from the heart, and I'm going to say exactly what I think. And I am willing to adjusting my views based on better logic. So I'm not completely unreasonable. But yes, I do have an agenda about things that I'd like to see change in our country and in law enforcement and government. So I think that I've addressed everything that I wanted to address. I addressed, you know, how I feel we should be spending our money as far as, funding global wars. I don't agree with funding global wars. I think that anybody invades us, yeah, I'll fight in that war. If anybody comes over here to the home soil, this is my country, this is my land. I'll defend liberals and conservatives. I will fight for my land. I will fight for my way of life. But I do not support going over to other countries and, funding wars over oils or for ideals that the, Israelis feel entitled to their land because of what the Bible says, or, funding Ukraine. Um, because the way that I look at it, I think that, and this is just a personal opinion, and you guys are entitled to any opinions you want, but I think that NATO is the one provoking the war here. I think that Putin is trying to defend himself from NATO expansion, and I think that that's what it's really about. I don't think it's about Putin terrorizing Ukraine as much as it is um, NATO continuing to expand into Russia. And basically, Russia is not one to fuck around with. And I said it. I'm not taking that back until I learn something otherwise. From what I have seen from a lot of non mainstream media outlets, it looks like we're actually invading him. And he is pretty much trying to say, hey, back off. Back off, or I will use long range missiles and even nuclear war to get you to leave me the hell alone. I don't think that he would mess with us if it wasn't for that. And like I said, I mean, Russia is not one to be trifled with. We're not either, but it's not worth it, in my opinion. It's not worth it. We need to stay the hell out of Russia and away from Russia before we break off a hell of a lot more than we can chew, or at least want to chew. Let's see here. I'm not on Facebook, sorry. This is Vern's contact. Okay, cool. Okay. He features your watching Watchtower content. Am I on Discord? I am on Discord. Yeah, look up DIASISS. So you can find me on there. You can shoot me a message. And thank you for sharing my watching Watchtower content. So for any of you who may not know, I run an activism group called Watching Watchtower, which is for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses leaving the cult and fighting against the Jehovah's Witnesses and Watchtower. Mainly the governing body, not the rank and file, because I believe that the rank and file really do not know what they are dealing with. And you're welcome, Colty Talk. But I don't think that they really realize what they're up against and what they're dealing with. So I think I addressed everything, though. Talked about, funding, talked a little bit about, how we should spend our money. I am fiscally conservative. I guess you could say socially somewhat liberal, but I really classify as a libertarian, so I'm somewhere in the middle of it all. Talked about gay rights, transgenders, and I believe that on both sides. I don't think that anybody should be made to feel uncomfortable for what they believe in. If you are a straight person, I think that you should feel free in America to feel safe. And I think that if you are gay or transgender, you also have the right in America to feel safe. And like I said, I am somewhat for abortions. I don't feel comfortable about late-term abortions, though. I really don't. I don't. Not at this time. So if any of you can help me to form a party, if any of you want to jump on board and support me, definitely send me a message. I'm usually on Facebook. You can also comment in the comments section and we can contact each other. Another thing that I want to talk about, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is guns. So, I am not for gun control. I am not. I don't think that a lot of this shit that's happening, where you have people walking into stores and taking them over at gunpoint and cleaning a store out, uh, is good at all. And I am pro guns. I am absolutely pro guns, especially if you're a woman. Yeah, I think you should have a firearm. I absolutely do. I would tell the same thing to my daughter. You know, you're 110 pounds. If a man is coming up to you late at night and he is 250 pounds and 6'5" and he has intent to do harm, I think that you should have a firearm. Because my daughter personally is not for guns. And I told her, I think you should have a gun. I think everybody should have the right to defend themselves, even if that means using lethal force. If somebody is getting yanked out of their car in one of these extreme protests where, they're usually liberal, or yanking people out of their cars, I think that they should have the right to use lethal force to protect them and their family. And if you don't like that, then maybe you should stop terrorizing people and get out of the damn road. If you want to protest, that is your right as an American. And I support that. I supported Black Lives Matter protesting until a lot of the wild liberals, regardless of color, tell you the truth, many of them were actually white, started just terrorizing the general public that did not support them and that wanted to drive through the crowds to get to where they were going. Yeah, I think at that point it might be a good idea to be able to defend yourself, because some of them will kill you. I've seen instances where these protests are happening, and some of these people got yanked out of their car and murdered by these damn extremists. I think that if your business is being terrorized, you also have the right to defend it. If somebody comes in there throwing Molotov cocktails and shit through the window, yeah, you know what? I think you should have a gun. So I am pro guns, in case you're wondering. I believe in guns. Because criminals don't give a shit. Criminals don't care about the gun laws. It's not like they rob a place. It's not like they walk into a place and they say, oh, hold on, guys, let me check the gun laws first. Criminals are going to have guns no matter what you do. So for you liberals that are anti-gun, you need to understand something. Most of the crime happens in your liberal areas where you promote gun control. In places like Chicago, New York, and California. You understand that those criminals still have guns no matter how strict those gun laws are, right? You understand that, right? Well, if you don't, you really should. Criminals are going to have guns no matter what you do. So it only makes sense that us law-abiding citizens who want to protect our property, our lives, and our families should have a gun. It only makes sense. It makes logical sense. I know you think that that's promoting more guns, but it really isn't. And even if it is, the criminals are still going to have guns regardless. So it doesn't really matter, unfortunately. This is the world that we live in. This is where I feel like the liberals need to be more realistic and understand, whether you like it or not, liberals, this is the world that we live in. It's the way it is. I didn't create it. I was born into it just like you. And I just want to see it stop. And I feel like citizens being able to protect themselves would help it stop. I also, on that note, support at least one armed officer being at each of our schools. You know, so many times you see them patrolling to ticket people for speeding. And, you know, granted, we need to have some laws, you know, on the interstate. We need to stop people from brake checking and road raging. And I think that that needs to be enforced because that is absolutely dangerous and should not be allowed to continue. But at the same time, it would be nice if we could take some of these law enforcement officers. By the way, I want to thank you for your service. Thank you for protecting our streets, even though the citizens will talk so much shit about you guys. Um, you know, and granted, there has been some police corruption and there has been cases of police brutality. So, you know, to the liberals here, not denying that. And I don't think that people should be profiled. I can just say, as somebody who is white and Latino, uh, um, I personally have had great experience with law enforcement and I commend local law enforcement. Now, I am not speaking for everyone. Um, because I know that there have been black people and other minorities out there who have not had that experience. I'm sorry that you guys have had that experience. And to the law enforcement officials who have promoted that, I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that's right. But my experience with local law enforcement has been that they have protected me more than they have made my life hard. And I'm only speaking for myself. I'm only speaking from my own personal experience. But getting back to my point, I would love to see an armed officer at each one of our schools because the gun control laws are not working when it comes to protecting our children. They're not working. A damn psychopath or suicide shooter or somebody who is of poor health, they're going to do it. And they're going to have a gun to do it no matter what. So it only makes sense that we as the community are able to band together and protect ourselves and our children, more importantly, our children. So I support local law enforcement patrolling and policing our schools. I think that that would do more help than harm. I think it would do more good than bad. So those are just some of my policies, some of my ideals, some of my agenda that I would like to enforce and help institute. I think I've gone over everything that I needed to go over. Definitely give me suggestions in the comments section. If you have any idea how to start a community rally or a party, a state party, governmental party, or even a national political party, please let me know because this is exactly what I want to create. So I want to thank you guys for watching and commenting, and thank you for participating, and let's make our country even better.